Hey guys, it's Flip. Today I'm going to show you how to fill in cracks in concrete. Alright, so this is a concrete slab where my garbage cans normally sit, and it's needed some attention for a while, so I'm going to go ahead and fill in these cracks and walk you through the steps for how you do it. Alright, so there's two main methods we're going to use here. So some of these cracks are around 1/4 of an inch up to about 1/2 inch, and for these cracks all we have to do is clean these out, fill them with backer rod, and then fill them with our sealant. So I wanted to use a smaller backer rod because some of these cracks are only about 1/4 of an inch. So I actually bought some 1/4 inch wide backer rod. That's smaller than anything I could find in the store, so I actually had to get it off Amazon, and I'll put the link under the video if you want to check that out. But so for these bigger cracks, all we're going to do is clean them out, and then we're going to fill them with this backer rod. Now, the downside of using a smaller size backer rod like this is where it gets a little bit wider. I might have to double this up, but that's okay. It's fine just to double this stuff up. The backer rod is mainly just to take up space, so you're not filling it with the expensive sealant, and it's just providing a base for the sealant to sit on. Then we have some smaller cracks coming off here, and these are going to take a little bit more work. So if the cracks are under 1/4 of an inch or so, what we need to do is chase those cracks. And chase the cracks means that we're just going to open them up like this. So you can see this little section right here I already chased. Here's where it's not. So chasing cracks just means you're going to open it up to where it's kind of like inside it's like a V shape, and that's going to allow it just to accept the sealant, and it's going to give you more surface area for it to stick to and hopefully make the job last longer. The most efficient way to chase cracks is with a grinder and a crack chasing wheel, especially if you have long cracks or a lot of them to deal with. Now, I don't have that many, and they're kind of short, so I don't have a crack chasing wheel, so I'm just going to use a chisel just because it's a little cheaper method, and it shouldn't take me too long with how much I have. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is chase these smaller cracks. So all I'm doing here is just holding the chisel at an angle and just kind of knocking the bottom corner of it through the crack with the hammer. I'm using one with the hand guard, and that's what I would recommend, just because even if you think you're concentrating, you still might miss here and there. I'll put a link under the video for this chisel and 3-pound hammer if you want to check them out, but any cold chisel and hammer will work. Once all the small cracks are chased, go ahead and clean up the mess you made. So the next thing you want to do is get these cracks as clean as possible. You want to get out all the rocks and dirt and weeds and any other loose debris that's in there. The cleaner you can get it, the better the sealant is going to stick, and the longer it's going to last. So you just want to clean it out as good as you can. And honestly, that's just a good life motto. You always want the clean crack. Alright, I'm done. Here's some ways you can clean these cracks out. First tool that comes in handy is a 6-in-1 tool. You can use this point right here to dig rocks out of the crack. Now anywhere I can fit it, I'm going to go ahead and put in some backer rod. I'm going to fill it up to, get it up to about 1/2 inch from the surface. Alright, so here's the product I'm going to use. It's Quikrete Crack Seal, and it'll fill cracks up to 1/2 inch wide. And you don't need a caulk gun or anything. You just shake it up real well, cut the tip off, and pour it in. It's self-leveling, so you really don't need to tool it, but if you go over a little bit, you can. Some things to have on handy is just a wet rag and maybe a putty knife to tool some into the cracks if you need to. So I'm going to use this, and I'm actually going to come back in 1 year and I'll do a review on this. So I'll do a little before and after, so we'll see how this stuff holds up 1 year from now. This stuff is runny, so you kind of just have to get creative with how you stop it from flowing downhill and running where you don't want. So here's an example. I just stuck a putty knife in the ground and put a brick behind it, and that kept it from running into the dirt there. Okay, it's been 24 hours and I wanted to show you how this looks. So the manufacturer says this stuff takes multiple applications, and you can definitely see why. After the first round, some of this looks fine, but you can definitely see where a lot of it settled really deep down in these cracks. So I'm going to go ahead and do a second application now, and then we'll wait till tomorrow and see if it needs a third one. All right, all done. It's a couple days later. I wanted to make sure this was good and dry, and I did have to end up going back and put a little third application in a couple low spots, but it's all done now. So here's how the cracks turned out, and I did a couple of joints that needed it too. I was pretty pleased with how those turned out. So once again, a year from now, I'm going to come back and do a review of this product, and we'll see how it held up after a year. So hopefully this helps you out. Thanks for watching.